Hi friends, welcome back to the course on employment communication, which is a lab-based course. So today we have lecture number 3 and the topic of this lecture is communication skills at the workplace. In the beginning, I would like to give you a brief view of the concepts which we are going to cover in this lecture number 3. The first is, why does communication matter? And the second, what are the basic purposes of communication at the workplace? So let's move on. For a beginning, I would like to show you 2 or 3 quotations which are the views of business authorities on the importance of communication and communication skills at the workplace. We have first of all an extract from the business section of New York Times, which says that top executives from Fortune 500 companies rate communication skills as the most important quality for business leaders. And secondly, we have the author of The Art of Leadership, Max De Pree, saying that there may be no single thing more important in our efforts to achieve meaningful work and fulfilling relationships than to learn and practice the art of communication. And there being nothing to explain, because these are self-explanatory, we move forward and we come to, again we have 2 more quotations, and it is evidence of the fact that communication weakness or communication weaknesses do matter at the workplace. The first one is by Michael Rook, production manager of Hewlett-Packard in San Diego, California, US. And he says that, "I'm surprised how so many people struggle with communication." Then we have Sam Reeves, IT consultant of AMS Denver, US, and he says that the first thing the HRD, that is the Human Resources Department, did was give me a writing book. Writing being one of the very important of the 4 communication skills. We have mentioned them yesterday already: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So let's move ahead. Now, what is the importance of communication skills to you as an employee? And there are 4 which I would like to mention. The role of communication at the workplace. The first is that without communication, no business, no work can happen. And the second, any workplace needs good communicators, as any organization wants leaders. And the third is written there: by improving your communication ability, this is an advice, by improving your communication abilities, you improve your chances for success. And that is the main thing which you are looking forward to in your workplace, that you achieve success day in, day out throughout your career at the workplace. And the 4th point is a fact, that most people do not communicate well. But again, the idea of communication skills or abilities being that which we can work upon, which we can improve upon, which we can capture, which we can, in fact, make part of our own personality. And therefore, this course, Employment Skills, Employment Communication, which is a lab-based course, and basically we are working on the 4 communication skills: listening, speaking, reading, writing, because these are the communication skills which are required at the workplace, and these will give you success. And we move ahead to why the need. The question would be, why the need to communicate at the workplace? Can we say that we don't need to communicate at the workplace? No, we cannot say that. We can never say that, in fact. So, the need to communicate at the workplace arises because of three causes. The first reason is communication is vital to every part of business, whether it's the startup or the entrepreneurial effort or a small unit or a big business house, whatever it is, any workplace survives on communication. And the second is that communication skills at the workplace takes many forms: oral, written, and computer. Number 3. Lastly, we have to note that any organized effort, because what happens in the workplace or at the business is an organization moving in a strategic manner, in a planned manner, so that all the efforts yield results. So, the last point here, all organized effort, including whatever you are doing at the workplace, which is your business, your work, your lookout, requires communication. Now, what are the main forms of communication at the workplace? And we have actually two main forms. One is the operational level and the second is the personal or the subjective level. If you think about the operational level further can be divided into two parts. First being internal and the second being external. So, in effect, we have three categories of communication at the workplace: operational, that is internal and external, and personal. Now, we go to the details of these aspects of communication at the workplace. The first form or the first aspect, let us say, internal operational. This implies the communication done in conducting work within a business. For example, giving orders, assembling the reports, and writing email. That is official email. And the second is external operational, and this is whatever work you are doing which is related to communication with people outside your business, such as you may be selling, you may be telephoning, you may be advertising, or you may simply be writing a business message or an official communication. So, the point is that any kind of message or official write-up you do or exercise in displays your company's image. I use the term here is etiquette. Etiquette, that is the outlook, the way in which your company is perceived by the rest of the world. Another important point is that both internal and external communications are vital to business success. So, the workplace as a unit, the organization as a unit must have a very good communication network, level, quality within the organization, as well as external communication with the rest of the world or the rest of the organizations must be of a very high, impeccable standards. If this be so, if these two factors are taken into account, taken care of, then there is nothing which can stop the business or that organization from achieving success. Now we come to point number 3, or the second, which is not the operational but the personal level of communication at the workplace. And this is non-business related exchanges of information and feelings among people. You know, at the workplace, after working for quite some time, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 years, we become like a family, and we have the feeling that a senior employee is as if the elder brother or the elder sister, or somebody who is in a position to influence as well as guide us and persuade us if need be. So, personal communication in fact affects the employee attitudes. If we think about the styles of communication, there are 3 styles of communication generally, that is assertive, aggressive and noble. Then the idea is that our communication styles will be in fact reflected by our attitudes. Our attitudes depends on personal feelings, and personal feelings depend in turn on personal communication we have with each other at the workplace. So, attitudes affect our performance at the workplace, and most important to remember here is also the point that the extent of personal communication permitted within the organization affects employee attitudes. Now, there is a difference which I need to mention here, the difference of the workplace culture. In the West, in fact, let's say US and other countries in the western part of the world, not much of personal communication is in fact appreciated or allowed. But in the East, in our side of the world, let's say India, Asia, Asian countries, so on and so forth, Southeast Asia, we are more on the feeling level, on the personal communication level, it's more open, more allowed. Now, coming to how the communication network is in fact arranged in the workplace. There are 2 types of networks at the workplace. The first, the formal, and the second, the informal. The formal network is the way in which you communicate, or the network of communication which is hierarchy bound, role bound, functionally oriented, and it is between you and your superior, between you and your subordinates. What we have to say here is that it is well established and it is usually along operational lines. For example, if you have to operate or work with XYZ who are senior to you, you may not be communicating with A, B, C who are nowhere related in that operation or in that work operation. And the second point of formal network of communication at the workplace is that it is planned. Number 2, the second type of communication network at the workplace is the informal network. Informal network is more complex and dynamic. Informal network, as you understand by the name itself, it is not the formal network, and it is that between the colleagues who are now on the level of friends. They are now on the level of friends and partners and maybe best friends also. So this is more complex and dynamic, as you understand. Now, what are the factors which would affect the volume, I mean the amount of communication at the workplace when you are finally at the workplace? What are the issues, what are the factors which affect the volume of communication at the workplace? And we have 3 as an answer. The first is the nature of the business. If the workplace or the office where you are working is of the quality or the level, or we use the term here nature, which requires lot of communication, then so be it. Number 2 is operation plan. If it is a very complicated or a very large structure and a complicated work has to be done, then there are many levels as well as sub levels of communication, because a huge product or a huge action plan is to be achieved by the workers or the employees of the organization. And the third factor which affects the volume of communication at the workplace is how many people and the quality of people and the role and functional responsibilities of the people who are at the workplace. So there are these 3 factors, I repeat: nature of the business, number 2, operating plan, number 3, people, which in fact decides or which in fact is responsible for the amount of communication taking place at the workplace. Now, I just wanted to show you a short video in this connection.
Ducks are migratory birds and fly south every winter. Domestic ducks are primarily farm-fowl and do not fly south for the winter. Sorry, I'm going south. Goodbye. Farm-fowl do not fly south for the winter. Sorry, I'm going south. So long, Jerry. I'll see you this spring. Sorry.
So, we are going to talk about the communication network at the workplace in an organization, say for example, and this is the way in which information flows in a business or the workplace. Actually, it is a complex network. It's not a simple system as such. Think about a company which is having headquarters in, let's say, Chennai, but has many offshore locations as well. And think on the other hand about a small company which is a startup and is located at, let's say, Kolkata and has no other branches. And think about a company, let's say for example Uber, which has worldwide presence wherever the Uber taxi services are running. So, information flow in a business forms a complex network and it depends on the factors we have already mentioned. Generally, because the authority, the top boss, the owners of the company are concerned or they are going to manage the objectives of the company, the products of the company, the annual turnover of the company. Therefore, the flow of information in a workplace is from top to bottom, because from top comes the instructions to work on the objectives to obtain the results for the company as such. But the upward communication is also important, because the men or women who occupy the upper echelons of the company need to know what the real workers or the real men who matter at the bottom think about, work out, and how they operate. What are their needs and situations in reality? Now we have an analogy for you that the main, that is the formal top to bottom flow of information, can be compared to the arteries of the human system, and on the other hand, the secondary or the informal network, which is day-to-day chit-chat talk, the communication of pleasantries and other non-formal communication, is like the veins of the human body. And this secondary network, which is the informal network, is equally complex and dynamic, as we say, continually changing. And at the workplace, what matters quite much is the grapevine, by which we mean rumors and gossip. In any workplace, whether it's the west or the eastern part of the world, gossip and rumor is highly contagious and happening throughout the work time. And actually, the manager is the one who can effectively use grapevine to communicate important information at that level where it would matter to even turn the fortunes of the company. So let's come now to the variation in communication activity at workplaces. How does it happen that communication activity is different at different workplaces? Now we have started and we have given you that example of three companies: a big company, a mediocre sized company, and a small unit that is simply an entrepreneurial effort or a startup located in one city, let's say Kolkata. So one was Uber, one was headquartered at Chennai with several offshore locations, and the last one was a startup in Kolkata. So the extent of workplace communication depends on the nature of the business. What is the company doing? How is the operating plan? Number 3, geographic dispersion, that is offshore and off-country or off-local locales. And the third is how many people are involved in that business or organization. Now we come to an important topic of what is the difference between the two forms of communication at the workplace. Among the 4 skills of listening, speaking, reading, writing, speaking or spoken communication and writing or written communication will occupy most of your work time at the office or workplace. Now there is a difference between both oral and written communication, and this can be summarized in 3 ways. The first is that written communication involves creativity. You see, speaking is a one-time activity. 2 people are talking formally at the workplace and they exchange many dialogues or conversations over a period of time. It happens naturally, spontaneously, in response to a question and answer, discussion, threadbare discussion, so on and so forth. Whereas if you are given to do a piece of written work, for example, if you are given the task of writing a project report, then you have to, and you will be in fact employing your creativity, which is not there in spoken communication, unless you are reciting an impromptu poem which you have self-composed instantaneously because you are creative. Number 2, is written communication has longer cycles. As I said, speaking is a one-time activity. Once the people have a meeting, they meet, discuss, the minutes are drawn, the minutes are circulated, that's all. But if you think about writing a report, sending the first draft, getting some review comments from the boss or the manager, again rewriting it, draft 2. So there are longer cycles in written communication on the formal level at the workplace. But on the other hand, there can also be fewer cycles. There is in fact no end to the amount of speaking you can do to achieve the exact correct level of meaning to be drawn by the other. But if you think about written communication, after certain drafts, after 2, 3, 4 drafts, perhaps the meaning is clear and therefore fewer cycles in written communication as compared to oral communication. Let's come to some basic truths about communication towards the end of this class or this lecture. The first is that meanings sent are not always received in toto, exactly as they were intended to be sent or transmitted. This is because each one of us has within us filters, mental filters, by which we view the world. We have our own specific set of unique characteristics and attitudes and our own notions over and above the general idea of things, places, events, situations. So because our mental filters differ, therefore meanings sent by the communicator will differ from the meaning received by the communicating. And remember also, number 2, that meaning is only in the mind, as we have said in the Triangle of Meaning by Richards and Ogden. The point is that meanings are only in the thought, not in the words or the symbol as such. The symbols of communication are imperfect, point number 3, because symbols are imperfect and people differ in their ability to communicate. Communication is more or less not perfect. That's why we commonly use the words miscommunication, barriers to communication, I misunderstood, I cannot understand, I failed to communicate, I failed to understand. Number 4, communication across cultures is especially difficult because culture is deeply embedded in us and it is quite difficult to uproot culture and remove these barriers to communication. Over and above that, despite having said all these barriers to communication, more or less we try to communicate well. So why this happens? How it is that we are able to communicate well? Because we participate in a process called adaptation. If somebody who is having a high competence of English is forced to work with somebody who has a lower competence or control over English, the language of the workplace, then they have to come to a level of adaptation. Either the one with lower competence has to increase his competence or control over the language, or the other has to use simpler words, general terms, and then the communication can be more or less perfect and there would not be problems at the workplace arising due to miscommunication. So the stress on adaptation. Then we think about the workplace where of course you are speaking, but remember that anything written is now a matter of record and therefore what you think must be well thought out. We have here a quote by William Zenser, who is the author of On Writing Well, and he says that writing is thinking on paper. Speaking is reading in actuality. Writing is thinking on paper. So he says further, anyone who thinks clearly should be able to write clearly about any subject on all or of anything as such. So the emphasis is on improving your clarity and fine-tuning your thinking process. Let's summarize the lecture by objectives of the lecture set forth at the initial introduction to the course. First is that any workplace, any business will need and reward people who can communicate well, for communication is most important to business operations and business success. But the point is that good communicators are scarce to come by, they are difficult to come by. So the final submission, understanding is that if you are good in communication skills, if you can improve, work upon your communication skills, you can have more value in your business and you will be suitably rewarded at the workplace. Number 2, communication at the workplace falls into 3 categories. The first is the internal operational communication, which is the communication a business does to implement its operating plan. For example, writing reports, sending summaries, composing project proposals, making inventories, so on and so forth. The second is the external operational communication, that is the communication a business does with outsiders. They may be people like suppliers, other companies, customers, clients and such. And this is the example where we talk about business messages. And the third is the informal exchange of information, which is not related to operations, and this is called personal communication, which is not related to the formal workplace communication. Now let's come to summary. The third point in the summary of this lecture. The flow of communication in a business organization forms a complex and ever-changing network. Information continually flows from person to person, upward, downward and laterally. So, we are imagining a workplace where you will be working in future, a place where there would be information flowing from your superior, your boss, between you and also to those who work with you, your subordinates. And the next point is that the most important formal communication at the workplace is the operational information flow, and that is always formal. The informal communication, therefore, forms the informal network. It is the personal communication you indulge in at the workplace, exchanging pleasantries, saying hi, bye, good day, good morning, so on and so forth. How are you? How's your family going on? How's your dog doing? What's your vacation plan? So on and so forth. So, the next point is that the communication process reveals some basic truths. First, that meanings sent are not always received because our mental filters are different. Number 2, your meaning is in your mind and not in the symbols or words which you use. And thirdly, the symbols or words we use are imperfect because the reality they describe is complex, and mostly, especially for speakers who do not have English as their native tongue, it's a question of finding the right word and not finding it and using the wrong word, and therefore the symbols we use are imperfect because we are not able to capture the reality with the right symbols or the right words. These are few of the references I have used for the preparation of the lecture, and this is the end of the topic on communication skills at the workplace. Thank you, and may God bless you.